there's a lot of people in the New Age world, because they have certain gifts in certain directions. We have a lot of novices passing themselves off as masters. And this has been done humanity a great service, a great disservice. And there's many reasons why. But one of them is that you have regurgitated teachings. So there's a teaching a master passed down through transmission or otherwise, and it doesn't get fully assimilated through the receiver of that because of this sacral thing that I'm talking about. And they just, digest it most of the way. They think they got it, and then they deliver it to another person who also doesn't fully digest the energy, where it becomes a living, breathing energy within them. And they just regurgitate and pass that. And this is why you have the same words that have been hanging out in these different experiences for decades. I've gone to, and this is one of the reasons why I stopped going to different ceremonies and stuff, is that there is almost no originality, authenticity going on. It's all being like read from a book, which I understand when we don't have things, this is certain reference points. It helps us access energies, but we're here to wake up to our multidimensional nature, which means we are the holders of the space. We are the guardians of the space. It's not an outside thought that we agree is true and then we actuate it. No, it has to be something that comes from our authenticness, the authentic expression of the here and now moment of our spirit. And this is what we're working towards in this awakening process. And it keeps going. It's like a rabbit hole, the awakening process. You think, you made it, but there is no making it. There just another thing happens and another thing happens, and it just deepens, because we're infinite. So this, just kind of keeps going. All right. So another thing that happens is that when we are not stable inside, we start being susceptible to the distortions within the teachings that are meant to empower humanity. So distortions that come into these teachings, it can be very subtle, and we won't catch it because we won't have that awareness deeper in our being. There's many examples of this. And this is how a lot of things become like deep truths become trite or trivialized or misunderstood, is because it's not an embodied truth. So, for example, we're all one. How many people have said that? I've had people tell me that to cancel out the fact that I'm in an experience about something. Oh, yeah, well, you're just seeing it wrong because we're all one anyway. It's like, how many have had that happen? Have you guys had that happen where you're kind of struggling to process something, and there's a lot of thoughts and emotionals about it, and someone just comes in, it's like, well, we're all one. Why is it a thing? So this is an example of not being present with what is. This is using an idea to cancel out being present with what is. It's like, what you think and feel is completely irrelevant because there's this other truth over here you don't accept. It's like, okay, yes, there's a part of me that's not in that truth right now because there's all this other energy spinning inside my body. And I am trying to digest this. I'm trying to, come to a right place inside myself authentically. A lot of people instead will say, oh, well, just forgive them and move on, and say they forgive, but they don't actually forgive. They just in word forgive, but inside still have feelings about it and move on. That is not being authentic. Okay. That is being in a program. That's making yourself wrong so you can look like you're right. You see what I mean? It doesn't work. Not when these energies get really big like they get nowadays. The cycles that we're in, they are big cycles that are closing. That means there's huge waves of energy that comes along with that. And whatever is not the truth gets its ass kicked. That's just how it's working. And we're seeing that play out all around us. We saw it playing out. It was really starting to show itself when the La Cucaracha shenanigans was going on. And then, but then it's that particular energy pattern, I'm going to say strategy, has not ended. It's just ramped up stronger, 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 stronger. So people are afraid of each other. There's all these other things. Now, there is a movement for more personal connection to happen. This is true. This is happening. And there are many more people reprioritizing their value system so they feel more at ease with life. And this is all great stuff. But this is the beauty arising in the chaos. You see what I mean? The beauty arising in the chaos. And if we have belief systems that need to be validated about how we're victims or how we're not good enough or how, we just need this, and this or whatever, we're not able to come into right relationship with what is. We will be seeking validation for those beliefs. So if there is a way to spin it into a victimhood story, we will. And if there's enough emotional charge, right? If there's enough emotional charge going on with it, we're going to believe that story. We're going to repeat the story, and then we're going to hold on to it for dear life and never get the energy digested all the way through our system. When the energy is digested all the way through our system, the heavy stuff that was in our bodies that denied the truth, that denied being present with what is, just kind of like trails off, goes into the ground, goes into the earth, and gets recycled into something else. And then, of course, there's a lighter energy that also will get combusted and go more in an upwards direction. But the idea is that being fully present with what is, or as present as you possibly can be authentically with what is, the energy of that digests through, and you release the blind spots. You release the different emotional mental prisons that you've been in before. Now that is truly processing things. That is truly opening, accepting, and moving through frequencies. You do not need a super open and active receiver in the third eye for that. You need to be real for that. You need to be in truth for that. You know what I mean? It's like it's not a super high spiritual awareness you need for that. For that is about presence. It's about the here and now. It's about appreciating the sensitivities and really being there for that and valuing that part of our human experience. So in the New Age world, there's these ideas of star seeds and earth seeds. And this is showing us exactly what I'm talking about, but people don't really understand, I think, on a deeper level. For example, star seeds, the people that resonate with that term, star seed, star child, this is they're encoded with really high level consciousness encodements, and their struggle for this reality is to anchor themselves fully in this reality and to express the beauty of whatever those codes are they're embodying, right? So to make beauty and be fully here in the physical, in this reality, embracing this reality. Now, for the earth seeds, it's like they do embrace this reality, but they don't necessarily see the benefit of reaching up for these other codes. So their struggle or their aversion to work through is opening up to higher levels of consciousness that free them from the terrestrial programming. The terrestrial programming, this is what we're all working with, is trying to cut through, is all of these layers upon layers of lies and distortions that are in this 4D field that cloud our mental capacity. Our mental body, our emotional body is heavily influenced by this contaminated 4D field. Now I'm going to draw something. This is actually our logo for Life Body, but I want to draw this for you guys because this is really highlighting the significance of what I'm trying to explain here with you guys. All right, it's just going to take me a minute. It's been a while since I've drawn this. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So you guys see this image? This image is so significant because this is representing our reality and how we function within the biosuit and our perceptions with reality. So right here is that linear plane that we're crust of the planet that we all live on. Everything below it, this is inner earth. This is all the realms under the crust of the planet. And then we have the actual core sun that's in the center of our planet. And this 4D field, this is what I'm talking about. This 4D field right here, all the higher dimensions of consciousness filter through this 4D field. Okay. So the I am presence filters through the 4D field. The frequency, the soul song, the cymatics that create shape and form filter through this field. The platonic solids, the sacred geometry behind all matter filters through this field. You see what I'm saying? This all filters through this field, this collective field that beings on this planet and off planet experience. Okay. I know, and it's true. It's true. It's not just Earth. It's not just the Earth realm that experiences the impact of the 4D field. And I know this by working with certain elemental beings that are dedicated to helping humanity to wake up to their multidimensional nature. Okay. So, so what this means is that the mental field, emotional field, engagements internally. Now, there's the voicing. This is a whole other thing, but I'm talking about internally. When you're sitting down and you're having a quiet moment, are the thoughts that come stressful, or are the thoughts that come create anxiety, or are the thoughts that come bring you peace, contentment? Okay. So the thoughts that come have a structure to them. And if there's an emotional charge to those thoughts, then there's even vaster structures to them. So there's mental, emotional structures that accompany thoughts. And the collective field is like this massive soup of thoughts, beliefs, and thought, emotional issues. And if our structures get lit up, they start resonating with that stuff in the collective. And now we're actually pulling that collective inertia into resonance with our body, and now we're living in that energy. We're having a we don't know it as this, but we're having a multidimensional experience of these frequencies. That's just with thoughts, right? So if you have a lot of structures and limitations and inhibitions in your thoughts and emotions, or even a little bit, and the love elixir hasn't been released in your inner space yet, it's not a conducive garden to start opening up to other higher dimensions, because down here can't handle that energy, can't anchor it. And this is where you get a lot of people who maybe you see them and they're not grounded. You can consider them ungrounded. And that also perpetuates the trauma drama of victim and powerlessness and all this other stuff. So there are so many layers going on within the biosuit that aren't talked about, that many mystery schools nowadays don't address. Some do. I have been exposed to a few teachings that are, I don't want to say well known, but are out there, being put out there, that do feel like they're pretty integral and grounded. But most of them are not, which is why I've kind of ended up going my own way and doing my own thing, because nothing really felt in congruency with what my truth compass was telling me, right?